Over 20 years of working with women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, one pattern has quietly repeated itself in a way that I find both striking and, honestly, a little heartbreaking. These are women who drink their water faithfully, 8 glasses a day, sometimes more. They carry their bottles, they set their reminders, they do everything the wellness world tells them to do, and yet their skin remains dry. The fine lines deepen. The face feels less firm than it did even a year ago. They are doing precisely what they were told, and somehow the results are not following. That gap between the effort and the outcome is what I want to talk with you about today, because I think the answer has been sitting quietly in plain sight. I'm Dr. Eliza Hart, and for the past 2 decades, I've worked closely with women navigating the real, often unspoken changes that come with aging, particularly what happens to the skin when our hormonal landscape shifts and our body's internal chemistry quietly reorganizes itself. The most common question I hear is some version of this: I'm doing everything right, so why does my skin still look and feel the way it does? And the honest answer is that plain water, while essential, is only part of what your body needs at this stage of life to support skin hydration from the inside out. There are specific additions, simple, affordable, and largely overlooked, that can make your hydration work significantly harder for your skin. Stay with me until the end, because I have a small surprise connected to this that many women never hear about. Itawike Nature 1 Collagen Peptide Powder, Ribri South. Eskai dich and bees rafinten by he, niece, nali spow. You may have noticed it gradually. Your skin no longer bounces back the way it once did after a night of poor sleep, or a long flight, or a stressful week. It looks a little more settled into itself. The hollows beneath the eyes seem to stay. The texture along the jaw feels softer in a way that has nothing to do with moisturizer. What's actually happening is that after around age 60, your body's collagen production has declined by roughly half compared to your 20s, and the collagen that remains is thinner and less densely packed. This is not a failure. It is biology, but it does mean the structural scaffolding that once gave skin its firmness and resilience is considerably reduced. Collagen peptide powder, stirred into your morning water or warm drink, works by supplying the body with the specific amino acids, glycine, proline, hydroxyproline, that are the raw materials for new collagen synthesis. Think of these amino acids as bricks being delivered to a construction site where the workforce, your skin cells, can now get on with rebuilding. Research suggests that hydrolyzed collagen peptides, because they have been broken down into smaller fragments, are absorbed more readily through the gut lining than whole protein, which means more of what you consume actually reaches the dermis where it's needed. What many people don't mention is that collagen peptides also appear to support the production of hyaluronic acid within the skin, the molecule responsible for water retention at a cellular level. So you are not just supporting structural protein. You may also be improving your skin's own ability to hold on to the hydration you are already drinking. These two benefits work in concert rather than separately. Once the structural foundation begins receiving better nutritional support, the skin becomes far more receptive to what hydrating minerals can do at the cellular level. Trace minerals, the forgotten hydration carriers. There is a specific kind of dryness that no amount of water seems to touch, a tightness that persists even when you drink consistently, a dullness that sits just beneath the surface of the skin. Women in their late 60s and 70s often describe it as their skin feeling thirsty no matter what, and that description is, biologically speaking, quite accurate. What's happening is that plain water, filtered or otherwise, has often had its naturally occurring mineral content removed. And without minerals, particularly electrolytes like magnesium, potassium, and trace amounts of silica, water cannot move efficiently across cell membranes. It passes through the body without fully hydrating the tissues it was meant to reach. Adding a small amount of a liquid trace mineral supplement to your water changes the electrical dynamic inside the glass. Minerals act as carriers, helping water molecules be transported into cells rather than simply flushed past them. A useful way to think about it: if your cells are rooms and water is a delivery, minerals are the key that unlocks the door. Without them, the delivery waits on the step. For aging skin, where cellular transport is already slower due to reduced circulation and thinner capillary networks, this small addition can make a perceptible difference over several weeks. The deeper benefit here is that several trace minerals, magnesium in particular, also play a role in reducing low-grade systemic inflammation, which is increasingly understood to accelerate skin aging. Chronic, quiet inflammation degrades collagen fibers and disrupts the skin's barrier function. Supporting mineral balance is one of the gentlest and most overlooked ways to address this from within. Once cellular hydration improves and inflammation is gently modulated, the skin's barrier becomes considerably more intact, and that is precisely when the next addition can do something quite specific for skin tone and firmness. Silica, the structural mineral skin rarely gets enough of. After around age 65, many women notice a particular change that feels different from ordinary dryness. The skin begins to look less defined. Features that once had a certain clarity appear slightly softer, less sculpted. The temples thin. The skin along the neck feels less taut. This is partly collagen loss, but there is another structural component that rarely gets discussed: silica, a trace mineral that plays a direct role in the cross-linking of collagen fibers, meaning it helps collagen strands bind together into a strong, organized network rather than lying loose and disordered. Without adequate silica, even newly synthesized collagen may not organize itself effectively. Silica is found in some foods, oats, cucumber, leafy greens, but dietary amounts are often insufficient for women whose digestion and nutrient absorption have changed with age. Liquid silica supplements, added to water in small amounts, offer a bioavailable form that the gut can process relatively easily. The mechanism is supportive rather than dramatic. Silica doesn't plump skin the way hyaluronic acid might, but it quietly reinforces the matrix underneath, the way internal wiring supports the walls of a building from within. What is less commonly discussed is that silica also supports the health of connective tissue throughout the body, including hair, nails, and the integrity of vessel walls. Women who begin adding silica to their water often notice changes in hair texture and nail strength alongside any skin improvements, which reflects that these tissues share similar structural proteins and benefit from the same nutritional inputs. Once silica begins supporting the collagen matrix, the stage is set for targeted antioxidant support, which works to protect the new collagen being built from the oxidative damage that accelerates aging at the cellular level. Is not the NutritionTips on C prior of 4. Vitamin C in ascorbic acid or liposomal form, the collagen catalyst. There is an irony that many women in their 70s encounter. They begin eating more carefully, reducing processed foods, adding vegetables, and yet their skin seems unmoved. One reason this happens is that the body's ability to utilize vitamin C in collagen synthesis declines with age, not because we need less of it, but because the enzymatic processes that use vitamin C to stitch collagen fibers together become less efficient. Vitamin C is not optional for collagen formation. It is a required cofactor. Without it, collagen synthesis stalls regardless of how much peptide powder or silica is present. Adding a small amount of food-grade ascorbic acid, the pure crystalline form of vitamin C, to your water is one of the simplest and most evidence-supported ways to support skin from the inside. Liposomal vitamin C, where the vitamin is encased in a fat-soluble shell, is absorbed even more readily and may be worth considering for women who experience digestive sensitivity. The mechanism here is well studied. Vitamin C activates the enzymes that hydroxylate proline and lysine, two amino acids essential to stable collagen structure, and without this activation step, the collagen that forms is structurally weaker. The deeper benefit is vitamin C's role as a potent antioxidant that specifically neutralizes free radicals generated by UV exposure, which continue to degrade skin collagen long after the sun exposure itself has passed. For women who spent time outdoors over the decades, as most of us have, this oxidative burden accumulates, and daily internal antioxidant support can help slow the rate at which existing collagen is broken down. Once vitamin C is consistently present, the entire process of collagen renewal becomes more efficient, but the pace at which skin can renew itself is still governed by gut health, which brings us to the addition that ties everything together. A, C, D, C, and Youthful. Gut Supportive Additions, the Absorption Foundation. There is something that women in midlife are rarely told about skin nutrition, and it is this: it doesn't particularly matter what you consume if your gut is not absorbing it well. After 65, digestive enzyme production declines, stomach acid levels often reduce, and the gut lining, which is itself a tissue that turns over and requires maintenance, can become more permeable or less efficient. The result is that even thoughtfully chosen supplements pass through the body without fully delivering their benefit. Women sometimes notice this as bloating, inconsistency in how foods feel, or simply a sense that nothing seems to be working despite best efforts. Adding either a small amount of apple cider vinegar with the mother, diluted in water, or a daily probiotic dissolved into room temperature water can meaningfully support digestive function in ways that directly benefit skin. Diluted apple cider vinegar gently supports stomach acid levels and the enzymatic environment needed to break down protein, including collagen peptides. A quality probiotic supports the gut microbiome, which is increasingly understood to regulate systemic inflammation, the same quiet inflammation that gradually degrades skin quality from within. What is rarely mentioned is that the gut-skin axis is now a well-established area of research, and disruptions in gut microbiome diversity have been specifically associated with conditions like increased skin sensitivity, reduced barrier function, and accelerated collagen degradation. Supporting gut health is, in a very real sense, supporting skin health, not as a metaphor, but as a direct biological pathway. Once the gut is better positioned to absorb the nutrients you are providing, every other addition to your water begins to work more efficiently, and the whole system, rather than any single ingredient, begins to shift. The correct preparation and application method. The way you prepare and consume your enriched water matters more than it might seem, particularly when the goal is consistent absorption over time. Begin by using room temperature or gently warm water rather than cold. Cold water mildly constricts the digestive tract, and slightly warm water is more easily absorbed and gentler on a stomach that may already be sensitive in the morning. A glass mug or ceramic vessel is preferable to plastic for warm liquids, as heat can cause certain plastics to release compounds you do not want in a health-supporting drink. Start the morning with a large glass of warm water with a small squeeze of fresh lemon or a teaspoon of diluted apple cider vinegar. This gently stimulates digestive enzymes before anything else is introduced. Allow 5 to 10 minutes before adding your collagen peptide powder, which can be stirred in with a small wooden or ceramic spoon until fully dissolved. If the powder clumps, a gentle swirl rather than aggressive stirring tends to incorporate it more smoothly. Your trace minerals and silica, if in liquid form, can be added to a second glass of water at mid-morning, a time when the stomach is more settled and absorption is often more efficient. Begin with the lower end of any recommended dose and allow 2 to 3 weeks before assessing any change. These are supportive additions, not fast-acting treatments, and skin renewal after 60 operates on a longer timeline than it once did. Vitamin C in powdered or liposomal form can be taken with or just after a light meal to reduce any digestive sensitivity. In the evening, a final glass of warm water, plain or with a small amount of magnesium powder, which supports overnight cellular repair, rounds out the day gently. Consistency over weeks and months matters far more than the precision of any single day. Think of it as a quiet, cumulative practice rather than a protocol. Sapers e, mappers speyer I alfam. Common mistakes to avoid when using this approach. The first mistake is adding everything at once, all in a single glass, on the very first morning. It seems logical, more is more, but combining multiple supplements abruptly can overwhelm a digestive system that needs time to adjust, and it also makes it impossible to identify which addition is helping and which, if any, is causing any sensitivity. Introduce one addition at a time, over a week or two each, so the body can adapt and you can observe clearly. The second mistake is using very cold water throughout the day as the base. Many women in their 60s find that cold water is perfectly fine for exercise or hot weather, but as a vehicle for mineral and collagen absorption first thing in the morning, it works against the process. The gut functions like a warm, living environment, and cold temperatures, particularly first thing, slow enzyme activity and can temporarily constrict the very pathways you are trying to support. The third mistake is inconsistency in timing. The skin renewal cycle, particularly after 70, operates on roughly a 35 to 45-day rhythm, considerably slower than the 28-day cycle of younger skin. Women often try an approach for 2 or 3 weeks, notice very little, and stop. The biology requires patience. Many women who notice meaningful change report that it comes quietly, around the 6 to 8 week mark, rather than dramatically or early. The fourth mistake is neglecting water quality itself. Tap water in many regions contains chlorine, fluoride, and trace compounds that can interfere with gut microbiome health, which, as we discussed, is directly linked to skin. If you are investing in thoughtful additions to your water, using a simple carbon filter or a quality mineral water as your base gives all of those additions a cleaner environment in which to work. The fifth and perhaps most quietly undermining mistake is approaching this with a sense of urgency or disappointment when results feel slow. Aging skin is not broken skin. It is skin that has adapted to a changing hormonal and biological environment, and it responds to support, but it responds on its own timeline, not ours. Wrinkles after 70 are not a sign that your skin has failed you, but a signal that it needs a different kind of support than it once did, and that support, offered consistently and kindly, can make a genuine difference over time. Aging skin is not resistant to change. It simply requires a more considered approach than the one we were given in our 30s and 40s. And the good news is that small, consistent shifts in what you add to your daily water can genuinely support the skin from within, over time. If this video has been useful to you and you would like to support the work of this channel, a small donation is a simple way to help me continue creating this kind of research-grounded, unhurried content for women who deserve honest information. If it resonated, I would be grateful if you liked this video, shared it with a woman in your life who might benefit, and subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. Thank you for spending this time with me. It genuinely means something.